Hello everyone, welcome back. We are going to go back and do some more material design and XAML stuff tonight, hopefully catch up on a bunch of work. Given that a lot of the breaking changes that I was hoping to get in with the 4.0 are done, I'm kind of looking to see if we can get prep to kick a release out about the same time .NET 5 C# 9 drops. So that is supposed to be occurring November 10th, I think. So if so that is the end goal. I was going to also comment as well for people who are interested in learning more about all the cool stuff in C# 9 and .NET 5 that is coming. There is a local user group that I am speaking at. So for people who are interested, link is in the chat. And actually, I can go one better. Poof, look at that. There's me. So on Meetup, if you search for Spokane.net user group, you will find it. Me and my boss, Mark Michaelis, who is the author of the Essential C# series, Microsoft Regional Director, we will be kind of pairing it and going through that. So if you are interested, we will go there. I may even spend a little time tonight poking at some of the C# 9 stuff. I always try to make sure I get a really good understanding of what's there and how it works. So short version, there's a lot of cool stuff coming in the latest version of C#. So I was going to dive right back into the material design and XAML stuff and try and get caught up yet again because I have been, once again, absolutely swamped. So this is an easy one. This is an icon generation thing. Easy approve. Easy approve because it's auto-generated and the build passed, which means it can't be that bad. So, because the short version is if the build passes, no reason not to automatically merge it. So let's jump back and look at some of this other stuff. So this was one of the older breaking changes, and I'm trying to decide if I circle back around on this. No, not yet. There are stuff that needs to be rebased and handled, and I don't know, has this one been rebased? Not yet. Okay. Let's see. So those two still need it. That one there, that one there. Let's take a look at this guy here and see what's going on. So missing resources, go all the way down. We do have a conflict in the packet restore cache, but that doesn't bother me that badly. Let's take a look at what is going on in here. So the idea being that when the snack bar disappears, the resource should be going away. So this pulled in value tuple just to leverage it here. I'm not... The other subtle thing that this would do is this would add in an additional dependency onto the NuGet package. Let's go back to the conversation. There was a lot of chatter back and forth on this one. I want to make sure I understand it. Is that an instance of snack bar message created by the XAML added to the active spot in stack bar, then removed from that post causes warnings about missing resource dictionary. Is to set at an appropriate time. The downside is the solution to have a list of default resource keys. I've tried to find to fail those. Nonetheless, I think this is a good pragmatic solution. Let's see here. It's going to manually remove the message from the active spot. Then they can also set the default resources. I push some commits relevant behavior. So this guy here is ready for review. Okay, so let's go through this and take a look. So what we have is default resources set up as there's a resource dictionary here that's being created. It's got two keys. These are duplicate some of the areas where we've got the theme brushes, so there's probably some sharing that can occur there. We'll circle back on that in a moment. So let's see what's going on here. So create and show message. So this guy here is just kicking back a value tuple and using C# deconstruction to pull out two local variables. So snack bar message and mouse not over wait handle. So this guy here sets up the resource in the snack bar message. So this is going to set a resource dictionary at a level closer. So this only sets it in after the thing has been removed. Okay. So I think this is mostly fine. The only thing I'm not a huge fan of is the extra value tuple. Because what is this? To create and show message. The whole point of this is because create and show message needs to return two things. I'm wondering if okay, so I think that's who, yes, Tyson's the one who originally do it. Avoid the additional value tuple dependency. Simply change the type to some Poco or add an parameter. Given that because what is the method in here? It was the create and show something. Create and show message. And let me just confirm that that is the case. That guy. Close that up and let me get my get cracking going. Get cracking. Load, people, load. So bring this guy across. Let's see. Yeah, we did a fix there, but I'm more interested in this. I am pulled up on latest master, right? I should be behind by one commit from the merge. Yeah, that's what we expect. So pull that up. What are you squawking about? I don't really care about you. So I can go there. What's in this? I don't think there's anything of major significance. I did clean up. Yeah, we'll deal with this. I did clean up there's been these commented out brushes for a while. These are no longer accurate for my apps. So having them sit there is a bit problematic. Not a big deal, but still not something I'd like to leave sitting around. Let me keep this on. My cup is empty. But don't worry. I have Mountain Dew. We are good tonight. Okay, and that font size is probably uber tiny. There. That's a little better, right? I think it is. Okay, so let's just go and take a look at, I just want to confirm that this method is in fact, as I think, yeah, it is private. So, let's see. No, nope, nope. Thank you, Edge. Given that it is private, I am not too concerned if its API is a bit ugly. Ugly. That's not how you spell ugly. Comment. So I think that's mostly fine, and we will circle back on that. Okay. So that is mostly fine. Open and closed events to DrawerHost. This sounds good. This is what I want. So this guy here, DrawerHost tests. Oh, there's tests added. I instantly love this. Okay, so DrawerHost opened. Let's see. This registers and grabs the open position based on the event args. The event args contain the doc. Let's see. Expected position left, open position top. Oh, I see. This just needed to have a non-null value. Got it. Okay, that's fine. Let's see. When open drawer opened, event is raised. When open drawer opened, callback is executed. Drawer opened, opened callback. I'm not sure the value of the callback versus the event. Those look to be the exact same thing. Closing callback. Okay, so let's go and take a look at them. So there's a closing event args, closing event handler. Oh, these can be somewhat cleaned up. Okay. Ah, I see. These were being registered. That's why. Bottom drawer open, property change callback. Okay, so let's see what actually happened in here. So we have a routed event, drawer opened, which is a bubbling one. I kind of wonder if a better name for these would be preview, drawer opened, or similar. Drawer closing. Yeah, I think most of these are probably okay. I think the only thing I'm going to suggest changing, there's probably just some naming stuff in here that I'm thinking is what needs to probably get cleaned up. So let's see, prepare Z indexes. That's probably not the method in question. Yeah, close drawer handler. Parameters doc. Well, I am very happy about seeing these things. I think there's just a couple things that I'm noticing. So delegates like these, there's a built-in delegate that you can use called, so if you do public event, there's event handler where you can feed it an event args, my event, right? And this guy here actually ends up, because of the genericness, ends up creating exactly the same type of thing as what's being done here. So it just leverages the generics, but then you don't have to create a bunch of delegates. So that is fine. I think I don't think this is closing. Let's see. So what is the API change on the DrawerHost itself? Right? So, because the other thing is this is technically shouldn't be a breaking change. We should be able to implement these without breaking backwards compatibility. So drawer opened event, that's fine, right? That's fine. We can clean up this guy a little bit, but that works. Drawer opened attached. I don't know if we really need the attached. Yeah, I'm a little less concerned with this. This is based on the dialog host pattern. But the dialog host in particular is less of a concern because part of the reason for it is the dialog itself is in a pop-up, which is a separate visual tree. This is not. So open callback. Okay. let's leave some comments here. Because I think this is more or less fine. And I love the fact that you wrote tests. That is awesome. I love it when people write tests. Though this is not needed for the test, right? Because the test is testing open, which means closed isn't. You don't necessarily need to close. This is technically just cleaning up when they were done, but not a big deal in this case. Yeah, so there's a closing, but not a closed. When does the thing actually fire? Looking for the closing versus the closed. So these are on all of the callbacks. That's fine. These are clearly the Visual Studio generated signatures because they're big, long, and ugly. Because that's how Visual Studio likes to do it. Raised drawer opened. That's fine. Right? Raised drawer opened. DrawerHost doc. Let's see. DrawerHost on drawer opened callback. And each of these go through. So close drawer handler. I like the closing being a cancelable event args. That much I think is good. Okay, so I think I want to just check this one out real quick because I think this will be easier to leave comments if I can see it opened. So let's walk through some of these files because there's a few things here that I'm seeing. So one, I think routed event args, if I remember correctly, the base constructor actually takes in the routed event so that you don't have to set it with initialization syntax. But we'll see. We will see. I think we can get away with that. Okay. Did you finish checking that out? Drawer events. Sure. Get it checked out for me, please. Pretty please. Okay, so there's all of that. Let's take a look at, go ahead and reload. Let's go back and check some of these. So things in question. So let's go and look at, let's just jump to the DrawerHost because that's what we're reviewing in question here, right? This is ultimately what we're looking to have. So let's start with this guy. I've already forgotten my line number. Well, let's start with the event args, I guess, because that's what we were just talking about. So let's look at routed event args because I think, yeah, there's a cleaner approach here where this becomes and setting routed event directly in this constructor, you can it into the base class. So if you just do base routed event, right? And actually, let's get the whole signature because this ultimately should end up looking something like this, right? Just confirm that, right? That way you don't have to set it here. In general, doing the initialization syntax on something you don't control is not necessarily the cleanest option. But this is set up here. Let's see, rather than creating your own delegate, we can simply use event handler door opened event args. And so we're going to copy this and go up to the closing one because the same comment applies there. And overall, this is actually very, very good. So don't get me wrong. I think that goes there. Let's see. I like this. I like this. Let's see. Let's grab the other event args comment. Let's see if we do. Thank you. Cancel. We can go up and do the same thing on the closing event args. Paste. And we'll just change this into this. That goes like that. And we do that. Yes, there is technically a base class for cancel event args, but it's not a routed event args in its hierarchy, which is a teeny bit problematic. Yeah, love the unit tests. Absolutely love that. Those are gold. I think though the other one I want to look at is, so let's go back to the DrawerHost. I don't think we actually want the attached ones. This is a bit of an anti-pattern that doesn't line up anywhere. And I'm not sure. I'm not sure we need it. Let's see. Let's go back up here. Oh, actually, that's right. You got to do the line numbers here if you want to do the multi-line comments. I don't think we need the attached event handlers for the DrawerHost. These were a hack for the dialog host and tend to cause as many problems as they solve. So it's not a pattern I want to replicate. People aren't used to it. It's not common WPF, and I kind of would just rather not propagate that design. Let's see. So these changes are all fine. Like all this is migrating from a common method to a method where we can pass in the doc. Let's see. I don't. So what exactly is this? Draw open event handler. I don't think we need the callback. So let's grab this. Show callback. Use the drawer opened, just what it was called, right? Drawer opened is fine. Yeah, because I tend to think usually on APIs, my opinion is usually less is more. I'm wondering if there should be a drawer close though, because closing doesn't quite give you what you want. I'm wondering if it would be convenient to get a drawer closed. I mean, you can kind of assume that that's what it is. Drawer closing. Drawer closing. It is a bit interesting because if one cancels, I guess that kind of is expected. Yeah, so that can bail. This will drop out there. I think we like it. We can get this merged. So we'll submit that review there, and then we'll keep going. Let's see. So open, closed, item container style for list box. Let's take a look at this. So one can check that the issue described does not exist when using list material design in XAML for list box and list view. I conclude that the problem does not exist for list view because it sets the item container style property while list box does not. That property setter uses a converter, which makes things a bit more complicated. So let's look at the bug in question. I think I want to understand what's going on here. Let's see. Horizontal content alignment, vertical content alignment with list box item style. There is a teeny bee. Let's see. Data error, cannot find source binding, relative source, items control, yada, 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 yada. Okay, so this is there's a relative source binding that are coming from here. So they've been tracked down. So, got it. Okay, clever. Okay, I like it. So let's take a look. I kind of know what I'm going to see here just based on that comment. Items container style. Simple, easy, straightforward. I like it. Approve. You can't ask for much more than that. So let's see. We are going to put this here. And let's make sure the bug in question gets moved into the milestone as well. Squash merge, and away we go. Poof. Easy mode. Easy approve. Easy approve. Okay, so enqueue call to parameters. So this one may actually end up resulting in me going and checking some stuff because we are getting timeouts and failures on theme brushes consistently. So either I've merged something that's bad, which is possible, or we've got things, because this change here should not have been a challenging one. So it looks like some minor white space cleanup, Oh, this reminds me, because I just saw a reference to Draggables. Right here. Draggables got updated over the weekend. It now supports .NET Core. So for anybody using that in your WPF apps, it is now .NET Core compliant. And away we go. Yeah, see, this is a simple change, right? It passed in the duration override that was being omitted before, and some minor white space cleanup, which I'm sure came from the editor config. So for starters, we're going to hit the approve button because this is the exact change that I expected. Now the problem is this check is failing. This is dumb. It should not be failing. I do not like tests that fail and give me false stuff. It makes me think that my tests are problematic. So let's go take a look at this 2150. Given that this thing has failed multiple times consistently, let's see. So we'll pull up on that 2150. Let's see. And this is, I don't know, duration override. I can't spell override. Excellent. Let's take a look here. So step one, I'm just going to run the tests manually myself because they failed multiple times consistently on the pipeline, which means I sort of expect them to fail here. And they aren't based on an old commit. Like this is a recent change. So it makes me suspect, nope, not that button, that button. Makes me suspect that I've got some bad tests somewhere. So we're going to just rebuild the universe real quick and then rerun all tests. Which I'm actually relatively happy. Like we're starting to get a decent amount of test coverage. So huzzah. which is not an easy thing to do with a WPF theming application because so much of it doesn't live in C# code. So we may take a detour here in a little bit and go work on XAML test, which is the UI testing library we're using. It's also mine, so I'm heavily biased. But there is an issue I'm running into with it where the tests are just hanging. And on the .NET CLI, if you get the, here, while that's running, I'll just pull this up real quick. Let's see, .NET test help. So for reference, I have the .NET 5 version installed. So go grab RC2 is what I've got set up here. But there's a few new features in this one. Blame crash, blame hang. So if your tests are crashing the test runner with, like, say, a Stack Overflow exception, which is one of the easiest ways to do it, or your tests are just hanging and you can't figure out why, the .NET test command now actually has additional switches that you can pass to it where it will attempt to figure out exactly which one of those tests are problematic and report it back to you. My problem, I can't reproduce this locally. It only happens on my pipeline. And unfortunately, the nice built-in tasks for installing .NET Core don't have .NET 5 on them yet. So, yeah, we might have to look at that. Speaking of which, why isn't the test runner running? Go. Pretty please, run all my tests for me. Hello. Well, that's not a happy thing. The operation was canceled. I'm sorry, what? This looks like a restart Visual Studio moment. You'll note I am running the preview builds of Visual Studio 19, and I just installed the latest update this morning, because why not? Before you stream, the best thing to do is always install brand new software that's on a preview build. What could possibly go wrong? For the most part, the preview builds of Visual Studio are actually fairly stable. I don't know if I would bet my day job projects on them, but for everything else, I kind of like running the previews because there's a lot of really nice stuff, and it's kind of cool to have all of the features early and fast and play with them. So I know some guys who actually run the previews for their day job and then okay, that looks better. You discovered the tests. Run the tests. Pretty please, run the tests. Well, this might have narrowed down my problem. The tests do not appear to want to run. What the heck? Am I crazy? But normally this button runs tests. Because the test run was requested. Test host process crashed. Maybe we will find that out here in just a minute. Something is wrong. The operation failed as details for material design themes MA apps could not be loaded. I'm sorry, you're trying to load a non-unit test project. So I am also running a preview version of, like I said, the .NET 5 RC2. So this could be a bit of that coming back to bite me. I am noticing material design thing MA apps is still pointed at 452, which is probably not an issue. Though I should check. That one may be completely out of support. I'm wondering if me kicking off. Yeah, I'm running a preview version. I get it. I know. That was kind of the point. Discovering tests. Blah, blah, blah. I'm wondering if in order to do this, well, let's start with this, right? So since we just talked about it, d:/cd dev material, that one, .NET test. Run the tests, please. Apparently we need to rev the Draggables demo up to a new version. Okay, so now we're making progress. So there's compilation errors. What? Let's see. So the colors project, color assist test is problematic. Okay. Just take a look. That's not a lot of things for it to go wrong with. What was the error in particular? Line 2, the typer namespace color manipulation does not exist in material design colors. I'm going to disagree with you and go with it must have been the .NET Colors project failed to compile. Let's see. Restored. You are using blah, blah, blah. Material design colors. .NET 4.5, blah, blah, blah. This thing appears to have compiled 2 targets. I'm a little confused here. Because it appears to be compiling all the things. Build successful. Test. No build. Use what's there. Starting test execution. So it ran all of the tests there. Okay. I'm a little curious where it's going. So ran a bunch of tests there. I'm guessing here in a moment we're going to see it because I believe it runs the test. Yeah, you'll note the slight difference between each of those is the target framework, Net 4.7.2 versus Net Core 3.1. These are all the UI tests. Okay. Well, good news. We've got reproduction. Huzzah. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, you'll note I'm very carefully not touching my mouse because the problem with UI tests is even though it tries to move and click at the same time, if you're wiggling your mouse, there is only one cursor on your screen and it's very possible for it to just relocate itself. Then have your test fail. So this is... So I don't know why my Visual Studio Runner's failing. But we will check this in a moment. I'm very happy to see this particular test fail because this is the one that the pipeline was failing on. So we may just fix this as part of the PR, and I might just cowboy that sucker in and get her done. because that's the unfortunate part, is if this needs to go in to fix somebody else's PR, you kind of have to rebase the PR in order to pick it up. So it's probably fine, but I'd really like to get the updated change for the XAML test in, because it adds support for being able, because right now XAML test, the version that this library is using, when it's sending brushes across, it can only do the solid colors, the solid color brushes, brush color. It does not handle things like opacity. Okay, so we know outline button test, outline button on mouse over uses theme test. So let's just go take a look, right? So make you bigger where I can see what's going on. It's probably under button, outline button test, right? So if can I run you by yourself? Will you run from Visual Studio so I don't have to try and figure out the syntax for the other one? I really don't want to have to run that from a .NET test every time if I don't have to. That'd be convenient. Come on, buddy. Come on, come on. You can do it. Run the test. It's not hard. I do wonder if I'm going to need an updated package. I have a sinking suspicion that there's probably a disjoint between the XUnit runners and my .NET Core preview package and Visual Studio. I'm guessing I need to rev all of those up. Okay, so you're just going to be a pain in the butt. Got it. Okay, so that's exciting. Okay, so this guy here in question is trying to assert that the material design outline brush, right? It grabs the primary hue mid brush, and then specifically it goes hunting for asserting on the colors. So if there is, it's getting something very not that brush. Let's see. So internal border background. So we are somewhat waiting on that guy. So let's go and take a look at this. Boom. Show me that. I kind of want to look not at the usage, but at this guy, because this was ultimately the change, right? So we've got the internal border brush, got border here, right? And border is expected to have get element border. And what we're saying is when the mouse cursor moves over it, right? And then we query the background, we expect the background to be changed. So that means down here, I expect there's a trigger, which there is. On mouse over of true. This guy picks up a brush opacity converter. And this guy does some work. And I assume set some opacity on the brush. But the key part here is this should still be the background color, right? So this should still have the right color. So I think what we're going to do, just in the interest of sanity, let's see, wait. Let's see, wait for All right, so this will do this. Let's see, async. And then that means this needs to be awaited. And that goes something like that. So this wait method will do a retry. And by default, there's a retry policy of, I think, 3 times over 2 seconds is the default retry policy. Let's see, let's just keep going. F12, that goes up to here. Retry policy, so it picks up a retry of default, which is, yeah, 3 times over 2 seconds. So by doing nothing, I think that's probably reasonable. Now, I don't have a great way of testing this, aside from apparently doing this, which is, cancel. We want to do .NET build first. And I'm now a little miffed that my test runner isn't working, because it should be. It absolutely should be. Okay, and then we will run the tests. I realize in theory tests should be doing a build if I leave off the -- no build on there. But just given how weird this thing's acting right now, we're going to be explicit. I think that makes the most sense. Wow. I don't know if this is a great indication, but I just noticed that the .NET framework ran in 900 milliseconds and the .NET Core one ran in 2. Whew. I don't know if that's a fair way of comparing, but yeah. So again, you'll note .NET Core ran in 14 seconds, or I'm sorry, .NET Framework ran in 14 seconds, .NET Core ran in 11. So you want to make your app faster, update to the latest .NET Core. And .NET 5 is supposed to be even faster than that. So yeah. Definitely, if you are able to rev to the latest and greatest stuff, it will make you happy. I assure you. What is going on? Sorry, I'm getting pinged all over the place today. Don't care. That's a tomorrow problem. So it still failed, but that's with the timeout. I'm sort of wondering if on this other one, I'm gonna go look and see if this is the same one, because I'm wondering if changing the default timeout on a couple of these might be worthwhile. Because you'll note there is that animation bit there, and I don't know what those are set to by default. So we'll give that a shot, because I've seen a couple of these timeout ones be a little sporadic, which makes me suspect that our timeout might be a little too slow, because it will guarantee 3 tries. Up to a maximum. So it'll still try the 3 times, even if 2 seconds has elapsed. The retry attempts take precedence over the given time. But if it can get more tries in 2 seconds, it'll keep going. Yeah, so I think we might just do that. Yeah, so I think what we're going to do is this. So the changing question, I have no problem with, right? So this guy here, let's just push this out, because let's see here. Do we go and add one for the other problematic test while we're in here? Let's look, because I think the other pull request showed a similar. This one here, yeah. So for example, copy and paste typo in NuGet package, right? This is not something that breaks the build, yet the build broke. So this is one of those things where it's like, okay, this one timed out on that same mouse over uses theme brush. So we're going to go with that one just needs to be told to wait. And yeah. Yeah, we're going to do this. So we're just going to put this one in, because this guy's clearly the biggest problem. Adding retry logic to wait on trigger. Boom. And we'll do that. We'll push that up, and that'll trigger the PR. It's kind of yucky having to do that kind of thing. But hopefully it gets this to move through without having to fight with it. So once again, this is a change that shouldn't break anything. Yeah, and this is fine. That's, once again, that was a material design themes, shouldn't cause an issue. And I think we're just going to come over here, put this in, and I am just going, because I have the power to do so. Actually, I'm going to wait until this other build runs because I want to see this other build's thing pass. So let's jump to the pipeline and take a look at it. So this guy should kick off. This guy will take a moment to run. The good news is we're then caught up on pull requests. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Might bounce over and go play with some other stuff then. Have some fun with GitHub Actions. See how those play for us. Okay, so this might take a moment. So we've got this guy approved. We're caught up on PRs, right? This PR caught up. This PR caught up. This one may end up just getting punted. It's sat around for a while, and we haven't come up with a clean clean fix. So this is open mode, and this is actually something that I need. Yeah, so this might be something. I don't know if this is an easy-ish thing to do, but this might be a worthwhile thing to do. So at minimum, the request that I've seen multiple times over is to have the idea of it push content, right? So this has the idea of pinning. It has the idea of stays open. Right? So it gets rid of the light dismiss. And then when you do that, it has the concept of push to the side rather than over and back. So I've got a template I've already built that does the push. This might be a reasonable time to do it. I don't think I want to do it right tonight, simply because we've got that other DrawerHost pull request, and I think I'm going to give him time to merge it in, and then I'll work on top of that. It's probably more reasonable. Oh, that's not what we wanted to do. Not what we wanted to do in the least. So that's that feature there, and that is in and coming. So this guy, run all the tests. Come on, buddy. Come on. Show me some successful runs. Worth knowing, if you want to run .NET 5, you do need to be on version 16.8 of Visual Studio. So you'll know my pipeline is not on the latest, hence why it is not leveraging any of that stuff yet. It will be soon enough, but for now, just this will do. So just be aware of that, and that is something forthcoming. Okay, so we are going to jump there, jump there. And I think, so all unit tests pass, which is great. So even though it'll report a much bigger number, we've got somewhere in the order of 286 of them. And then UI tests on top of that, which are awesome. The fact that we can run UI tests without additional stuff. The normal UI test stuff uses, oh, interesting. This is targeting an old version of .NET Core. The normal UI testing stuff for WPF usually goes through something like WinAppDriver, and uses the accessibility API for interacting with the app from the outside. The problem is that's not the level of testing that we want, right? Like, that level of testing is great if you're building an app, but in our case, we're building themes and styles and templates, and we want to be able to look at brushes and get micro detailed on it and verify that stuff works the way we want. So this UI testing library lets us do that. So initially I had sold it as this is not a general purpose UI testing library, but I keep adding features that are pushing it in that direction. So I don't think it'll ever fully usurp um, going through the accessibility API, because that also gives you the assertion or the knowledge that, hey, my stuff works well with the accessibility API. Which is great, right? Like, and for general app development, that is probably what you want almost every single time. However, for not that, right? If you just really want to pop something open and act on the UI, this stuff like XAML test works great. Aside from the fact that it keeps hanging on a pipeline and I cannot figure out why, which is why I was very excited to see that blame hang attribute on .NET Test. Like this made me very happy when I saw blame crash and blame hang, because that made me really excited, because that is the most frustrating thing to try and debug, when your test runner is either crashing or your test runner is hanging on a pipeline, because you get no information. There's no feedback whatsoever as far as what went wrong. It's gone. And then if it's hanging, you eventually the agent runner hits its max timeout and you burned an hour of your build minutes and gain no information. So there's that. That's kind of dumb too. So it would be nice to be able to set it up and say, hey, if my tests run longer than 5 minutes, kill it, and let's diagnose what's going on. Look at that. That's what we want to see. See that? UI test pass, unit test pass. So I'm thinking the issue was that other test was just flaky. And flaky enough to fail too many times over. So, come on, report back. Call your webhook. There we go. Yay. Squash and merge. Squash merge. Okay, so there's that. We're going to just straight up abuse this one. Come on, hurry up and merge the other one. Squash merge. Squash merge. And let's, this guy here, we want to make sure gets moved in as well. And closed. And that gets fixed as well. So there is all of that. Cool. Okay, so that fixes that. Refresh. Just check where we're at. So in terms of PRs, we've got this guy. We've got this. So we've got comments on these two that are just waiting for some changes. These four here are more or less looking for feedback and rebase and cleanup. This one, what's the deal with this one? Force combo box pop-up direction. Yeah, this is one we were holding on because the fix felt awkward and we didn't know the right thing. At some point in time, I may just redo the entire combo box template. It has been a pain in the neck. And the little fancy draw a hole around my text box thing is constantly off by a pixel in different directions, and there's never a perfect solution. It's frustrating. Okay, let's let's go through and let's just go XAML test. I think that's what interests me tonight, is working on this, because this is what I was poking at earlier this week. So switching gears. New project. Okay, so I've got this new branch. It's called Serializer. There's stuff in it that lets it serialize stuff. It's the fix to let brush it, the fix to let it serialize like the opacity of the solid color brush back and forth across, right? So it adds support for custom serializer. All that stuff is great. Here's the problem. This here is the problem. This thing, the build is just straight up failing. And if we go to our actions, well, the build is failing right now because of reasons. But you'll note this serializer here, I have run this thing multiple times, and I repeatedly run into problems. I got to clean up my warnings too. That's a problem. I have been running into repeated problems where the thing just flat out hangs. So you'll note, starting execution, please wait. And then a long time later, we get cancel build after 19 minutes. That doesn't make me happy. So what I would love to do, because you'll note when I do the setup.NET Core version, what this ends up doing is this guy right here, right? So it's passing this version. Now, what I think I can do, did I save the information? I did not. So let's go and look it up again. So net 5 install something. So if you go to download the .NET 5, right? So there's your URL there. If you take a look at these, there's multiple options, right? But you'll note there's this install scripts. That's pretty cool. So let's take a look. And if we look at the downloaded script, oh, I might even have it, probably still have it inside of my VS Code. Maybe not. File, let's see, open recent. Boom. Yeah. So if you look at this download script, which if we check here, you'll note this is using install.NET PS1. I don't think it's too much of a stretch to assume that the built-in GitHub action task is probably just using this script. I'm pretty sure that's what happens. And you'll note it's passing through the version property. And what I'd really love to do is pass through a channel. Because right now, the only values that can be passed to channel, the default is LTS, right? Its current values are current, LTS, or branch name. So you can go through and feed it a branch. So if you're using this script to go and launch something, you can feed it a branch, any branch that exists out there, and you will get back. And this guy will do the needful to get it installed, which is great. The problem I'm running into is this guy here wants. So if we go back and look at my other action runs, what I was trying to figure out how to do, and I never succeeded yet. Yet is the key word, right? Is I want this guy, and I don't know why this one failed out. Let's go back one more and look at the other one. Is I was trying to figure out how to pass .NET 5 RC2 because I want this, but you'll note here this is not the right thingy because this is calling into the script, but it's only passing version. So the goal is to figure out how to pass in and get .NET 5 RC2. So let's pull open XAML test, and we will give this some shots. So what I would like to do is figure out the magical incantation that gets me to passing a version, because just letting it go to default or latest is not going to be good enough. So unless I can figure out the magical, so let's just look here. Oh boy, there's only a few hundred things that take in version. So version latest channel LTS. So I'm also curious to look at so this guy here. So this is what we are running, right? And I don't know. Let's go see if we can, because we can pull this guy's GitHub open. Setup.net. And I would be surprised if this thing didn't have more parameters than just version. It would be really cool if he had more parameters than just version. And I'm not entirely clear. The README doesn't seem to have it. Uses caction.yaml. That's great. .NET version, source URL, owner, config file. That's not quite enough. for my purposes. I would like to not do that. So here's the next question. These install scripts, right? Are these at a copy link, right? Can I just can I just so GitHub Actions download file. I mean, I guess I guess you don't need anything fancy, right? You just invoke web request, I think, right? So if we go cd, nope, I can spell XAML. So if I do invoke web request and just do that, right? It's going to download it. That apparently downloads and doesn't save it into a file. So I'm guessing it's then something like what? Out file, let's see, .NET install PS1, right? Something like that. Yeah, so code, right? That's not what I want. Let's try this again. Invoke web request. Do you have like an out file, or there's got to be something out variable? Out file. That sounds like what I want, right? Let's see. .NET install PS1, right? ls. Great. Show it to me. Okay. So we got a legit file. Don't know what it's squawking about there. Just going to ignore it for the moment. Okay, I'm just going to assume you are out of your mind, PowerShell, and that'll work. Okay, so don't save. Let's go back here. So we could do something like this, right? Because I'm kind of envisioning that we just abandoned this guy here. Setup.net. Let's see if we can figure out the invocation on this guy. So if I do .NET right, version 5.0.0, right, that is probably not going to work. Okay, fair enough. Didn't work. Not a shock. Okay, but this is what's getting passed, so we should be able to figure out the magical incantation of getting this download to actually work. So I think let's try feeding it this whole string, right? Kick that off. So it's interesting, the thing that I'm noticing, how it's building up this URL. So let me go over here and look at what the actual install is. How do I get to the storage? Because this goes here, direct linked. Oh, so this guy is pulling from a commit hash. Cancel, cancel. That's, oh, that's not the full link. Copy link. Show me link. So what are you doing? Download PR blah 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 blah. So that is massively ugly. So oh, this guy worked when I fed it that number. Oh, well, this might be really easy then. So let's grab this, copy, and boy, I could have sworn I had tried that. That's not right. Let's try that again. That value, please. I'm wondering if it's just escaping, right? Like I need to do something like that so that the YAML people are happy. Let's try this. So attempting to use .NET 5. So commit, and let's just confirm real quick because I'm fairly confident in this YAML. I've already gone through blame hang and blame timeout, right? So if we get down to running the .NET test, that should work, right? Right? Let's find out. The good news is this thing fails rather quickly. So if it's gonna blow up, it's gonna blow up quick. Let's see if we get here. Now, if it does get past it, then we have to wait for this thing to hang for 30 seconds, which that's not horrible. I wonder if that was my whole issue when I tried it before of not appropriately escaping. So we'll give this guy a shot and see where we end up. Setup.NET Core. Well, it appears to have passed it in. This might just work. That'd be cool. Because I'm totally fine with the idea of running this guy on .NET 5 RC2. Like, I'm very okay with that. We'll see what the detect hang is. Because we're not leveraging any of the .NET 5 stuff. I just want the newer CLI. Because it's got features and cool stuff and awesomeness. Look at that. Welcome to .NET 5. Winner! So it turns out, if you want to do it on a GitHub action, remember to put the version in quotes because the stupid hyphen will break. Okay. That is a simple enough requirement and reinforces my not love of YAML. I love XAML. I don't love YAML. YAML makes me sad. This is really cool. Now, it'll be extra cool if it debugs which one of my tests are hanging and gives me back useful information. It's going to be really sucky if it tells me that none of my tests are hanging and it works fine now, which will make me really, really, really sad. The other thing we may take a look at is I'd love to build out a source generator because I've got a bunch of extension methods for obvious things like querying the background color or the foreground color. And I've got a bunch of extension methods for a lot of the common WPF properties. And I just regexed it and did a little reflection thing at one point to gen up a bunch of them. But it'd be really nice to do it with a source generator. That way I could just keep adding to it and not have it be a mess. Because I genned up a bunch of them and not all of them worked. And more importantly, not all of them have tests, which means I can never guarantee that they all work. And so it would be nice to actually build those out and have the source generator generate both the extension method as well as the test for the extension method. That would be slick. That way I can guarantee that everything that's in there is passing and I've got good test coverage over all of them. Because the serialization back and forth, some properties have types that weren't being serialized properly. After this PR, we'll have the API to handle that, which would be great. But for all of the built-in types, I'll probably want to put in serializers. Now, everything falls back to just the type converter stuff, but that's not the type converter is kind of poor man's serializer and doesn't work for everything. Especially for some of the built-in types, like take solid color brush, for example. Right now, the built-in stuff that I did does opacity and color, but there's technically transform properties on the brush as well. Those ones aren't going across right now. And I rarely, if ever, use those, so I was like, meh, this tool's for me. I'll get around to it when I need it. So happy to take PRs if anyone else is using it, but as far as I'm aware, I'm the only one using this tool, so it is subject to my whims at the moment of what I need. And I also have it set up just for anybody who gets overly excited about it. Be aware that until I hit the 1.0 release, any of the 0 releases are alpha, and I will change APIs and break stuff without notice. So just be aware. Oh, look at that. Blame hang timeout. Oh, yes. Look at this. Oh, yes. Have you ever seen such a beautiful thing? Hang dump fit. Now this makes me feel sad. Collecting hang dump failed with error. So that's not exciting. That makes me sad. This worries me. Process with ID blah is not running. Yeah, I was really excited to see these things. I love the idea that I can actually now use the CLI to go through and catch these things. So something's throwing an argument exception. Boy, so that's mildly helpful. Did any of these claim to succeed? Creating a hang dump failed with error, so I think we can conclude that one did not create a dump. This one might have. All tests finish running. Sequence file will not be generated. Okay, I'm kind of okay with that. So that is mildly helpful, except for it didn't tell me. Yeah, the following frameworks were not found. Oh, so I might actually need to install both. That is an excellent point. I wonder how that's going to work. Huh. I don't know how to handle that. Because I need Microsoft. Well, okay, before we get too carried away, let's go back and look at this .NET. Go away. .NET test. Show me these blame commands. I would love to see. Let's see. Blum hang type. Type of crash dump. When none is used, the test host is terminated on timeout. But no dump is collected. I kind of like. I don't know what to specify for the dump type aside from none. Let's see. When a crash is detected, it creates a sequence file that captures the order of tests that were run before the crash. Hanger crash dumps can also be collected. So maybe I need to add blame onto this. .NET test blame hang blame crash. Play runs the test in blame mode. Enable crashing. Requires procdump exe and procdump 64 to be available on the path. These may not exist. Let's go and but okay, so Choco list procdump. I am pretty sure the easiest thing to do is just to Choco install these things. Yeah, so we're gonna do that because we've got Chocolatey already on the agents. So we will just because we're doing this guy right here, right? So we've got this guy, and I guess it doesn't really matter exactly where we do it. We'll just do it. Well, let's not break you two up. We'll come down here before the test, right? So we'll do here, and actually we'll go. I think I want to move you up. All right, so we're going to go there. Aside from the fact that I can't indent properly. Okay, so that uses chocolatey, choco install -y, and what we want is proc dump. Okay, so I think that will get me proc dump on my path. We've got blame crash, right? Specified, and blame. We don't have blame crash. Blame crash. So we're going to get that guy on there too. Blame hang timeout of 30 seconds. Because none of my tests take more than like 10 seconds to run, if that. So 30 is definitely a hang. Let's see. I don't know what this. I wonder if I need to specify a dump type, but I don't know what to do. And then this guy's gonna write out a file. Where did it say it went? Test results GUID sequence. So I might want to package this guy up. Kind of want to just package up the whole test results folder. So let's go back here. I don't know exactly where it's going to be. So let's go down here and do. Oh, did I botch that? Okay, let's try this again. So we're gonna grab and upload. Let's see, test results, and I think we just want test results and nothing more. Name test results. So that'll be an artifact. We're going to run it always. Okay, let's try it. Let's see. Attempt to get test run results. And push. I am wondering if I'm going to get bit by not having .NET Core 3.1 installed. I'm almost wondering if I should do. So we're going to let it go one more time, but I'm going to kind of prep this because I kind of wonder if I'm going to get bit by this by not doing it. So let's see. 3, yeah. So previously this is what was being run. I kind of wonder if I'm going to need to put in that first, then install .NET 5 second, because I think this will take precedence on the path, but this will get me the framework I need. We'll see what it does. We will see what it does, because that might be all that goes into it. And hopefully it doesn't take too long to run, because those chocolatey bits are sometimes slow. But we will let this guy chug for a minute. So hopefully that gets me off to the races. My Mountain Dew is empty. That's not a good sign. Not a good sign. There we go. So it is installing dependencies. We got our .NET 5 again. Great, great, great. Determining projects to restore. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Write your first app. I didn't know that thing existed. And that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. .NET New Console My App. Yeah, I will say getting started with C# and .NET is ridiculously easy. With C#9, they've got top-level programs. So all of this stuff between namespace and opening curly braces, yeah, that all gets deleted, and then all these closing curly braces get deleted. So it's one of those features that's going to be really great for simple stuff and getting started. I don't know if it has a lot of practical applications beyond I'm no longer spinning a unit test to just test out some C# real quick. I can just start writing, which is great. Like that is awesome. So that is one of the new things in C# 9 for people who are interested. Again, I'm going to shamelessly self-promote. If people are interested, I am speaking at the Spokane.net user group November 10th. So ideally, there will be a recording of it afterwards. However, we have a poor track record of not botching our recordings. So that's exciting. Hopefully, because we're live streaming it, there will be a lot better results. So I plan on spending some decent time making sure that we've got our systems and everything configured appropriately and whatnot and ready to go. But it will be not where I'm sitting now, which means I've got to relocate some stuff and make happiness occur. So that will be forthcoming very soon. Okay, so there's the chocolatey install. I am a little surprised it was this easy. Be a little happier if I see this thing run because I'd really like to merge this change in. All of this because I opened a PR and then my PR started hanging and then I saw those hangs over on the other side as well. It's very frustrating, especially since the hangs don't reproduce locally. I'm actually curious while that guy's going. So I'm curious if these tests run or if my latest Visual Studio .NET Core update just botched all my test runners. No, these tests appear to be running, which is great. That's kind of what we expect. Okay? Like that's what these tests should do. Flash the WPF window as fast as you can and go cranking through that. I do love how the duration on the right seems to be going down the more tests that I run. I don't know what that duration's denoting. Because usually duration gets longer over time, not shorter. Wonder if that was just like the last test and it was trying to estimate and failing miserably? Possibly? I'm not sure. Okay, so there's that. So yeah, so the tests all run. So just to be clear, all those tests ran locally just fine. This is the frustrating part, is it only appears to recreate on the build agent, which is always the most fun bugs to troubleshoot when you can't reproduce locally. So, and I will also mention, like, you saw how fast those tests were running. Like, each individual test is typically under a second, which isn't bad considering most of these tests are spinning a brand new WPF app every single time. So that one took over a second, 1 second. Most of these things are in like the 900 millisecond range. At some point in time, I plan on trying to reuse the spun up WPF app because I'm fairly confident I can get it to where I can dump the config and reload. But I need to test that and make sure that there's no cross contamination. But I think I can get these times down significantly lower because most of this time is spinning that new process and waiting for it to go, which would be really cool. Okay, so this guy, wait, what? So hold on. Install screen resolution tool. Oh, I just forgot to change the name of this. This is the proc dump install. Performing other installation steps. Progress. Error. Hashes don't match. You know what? Normally I would definitely discourage this, but I just want it to go. I just want it to go. Let's see. Install proc dump. Paste. So once again, we're going to try this. Let's see. Ignore checksums. This is also going to install .NET Core 3.1 first. Do I want that change hunk view? I think what we're going to do is we are going to unstage that hunk and just bring this bit down. Yeah, so we're going to do just that portion of the file. So for people who haven't seen that before in GitKraken, so I'll go and make one more change real quick. So, you know, foo, right? So if you've got changes in GitKraken, there's multiple views of your file. So you can do the whole side by side, which is fairly common, right? Or inline. This is generally how I like to bounce back and forth if I'm just reviewing code. But when I'm staging code, this hunk view is actually rather convenient because you can look at just the individual hunks of changes between each of these. And then more importantly, you can either choose to stage or discard these individually. So if it's, yeah, let's bring in this change, but not this change, you don't have to stage an entire file. You can stage just a portion of the changes within that file. And before people yell at me, yes, you can do it on the CLI with the git command line, but oh dear heavens, it is yucky. You'll notice I clicked a button. That was nice and fast. I like GitKraken. It works well. Well, it works well until it doesn't, and then it's frustrating. But most of the time, like 99% of the time, it works really well. And I will say this, their customer support is actually pretty Johnny on the spot when they've got bug reports. So if you're using it and something's not working, I think, where is it? Where's the button? Was it under help? Send us feedback. That's the magical button. Like, they legitimately respond to this stuff. And you can do get support if you've got a bug or whatever, right? So, and they are very, very good at responding, or at least that's been my experience so far. And I've sent, 3 or 4 bug reports of different stuff, and they usually respond and check on stuff right away. One of them was my own fault, and I was just being dumb. And the customer support person was very nice to make me not feel like a complete idiot. But it was one of those, yeah, you realize that's how it's supposed to work. It's like, oh, oops, my bad. My bad. That was definitely me. Thanks for not completely laughing at me. Okay, so once again, we're still running. This is the other unfortunate part with pipeline work is you spend quite a bit of time hurrying up and wait, hurry up and wait, hurry up and wait. So, but I'm going to let this guy, I want to see it get down to this test and then kick off because that would be really, really convenient. I will point something else out while we're waiting here. If anybody is interested in helping out, and I don't know, it's almost the end. So Hacktoberfest is almost over. So if you haven't gotten your PRs in, you only have a few days remaining. I am not a designer, and so I've logged this one here. If anybody wants to throw out a potential icon for a NuGet package, I would be happy to accept a PR for that. Again, I'm bad at design. The only stipulation that I would put on that is anything that comes forward. Like if there's, depending on the license, if we need to add attribution to whoever it came from. Like I know like the Noun project is really good about that, of giving out icons as long as you appropriately say, hey, this is where it comes from. I'm not the original author, that kind of thing. So if anybody wants to either find one or make one or whatever, again, that would be my only thing there. while this guy is running, I kind of want to look at the idea of, so let's go back to action so we can keep an eye on this guy. I kind of want to look at the idea of potentially building out a automatic code generator for doing this stuff, which would be pretty slick. Pretty slick indeed. So let's see, C#9 code generators. So let's just take a quick look, right? Or I'm sorry, source generators. My mistake. So blah, 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 blah. This is what I want. So net standard library, Lang version preview. I think we can do Lang version 9 now, as long as you've got .NET 5 installed. Because this is, I'm guessing, somewhat older-ish. April. Yeah, this is months old. And I think this be all it takes. Yeah, this is what we want. This is what we want. Okay. So while that guy's chugging along, let's go off and have some fun. We'll just keep going. So add new project. What is it? Something like class library. Library. Come on. Filtering. Class library, net standard. This, it's right here. See this? Search bar. It's right here. You are struggling. Okay, I'll pick it for you. Don't worry, I got you. So let's see. We'll call it XAML test. How about generator? Yeah, it sounds good. Let's take a look. Because the last time I tried, for people who've watched my stream for a while, you know that I did one of these source generators a long time ago, back when these were first announced, and it did not go well. WPF still doesn't have full support for source generators. So if you want to use a source generator in a WPF app, what you do is you put your code in a class library project and reference it from your WPF app, which is fine as long as that structure works for what you're doing. So we need to create a thingy, and it needs to look kind of like this. Great. We will create a thingy, and it will look kind of like that. So let's see here. I think I missed something in the package referencey stuff. So so we're going to do Lang version 9, I think, because I can get away with that. Let's see. I'm pretty sure Lang version 9.0 is a legit one now. And then I need these references here. But so we'll put these in, but I'm going to double check. I'm going to pop the NuGet package manager and just see, because I suspect that there's newer versions of both of these. So that should get me there. Let's see, that goes there, and it generates and does the thing. Oh, there's more members on the interface. Okay. Let's see. Initialization is use generator initialize context. Okay, but I think oh, got it. They changed the interface. Got it. So the stuff in the blog post is using the old API. Cool. Okay. Back to checking on our we failed. So let's take a look. The failure is actually expected right now. Okay, so let's see. Invalid operation exception. Okay. Process has exited, so the requested information is not available. Creating a hang dump failed with error. That's not helpful. I do wonder if I'm going to need to add in that other bit. Okay, let's see. Blame failed with error. This is the only one that looks. All tests finished running. Sequence file will not be generated. Test run aborted. I think you missed the point of. I think you missed the point of giving me my output. Not helpful. Not helpful at all. But I do wonder if this guy here. So let's see. Test host process failed with error. It's not possible to find any compatible framework version. Okay. So we are going to go back to here. We are going to stage this file. Let's see. Also installing netcore 3.1, right? So we'll kick that off. Let that guy go. We don't need this file anymore. We figured it out. Okay. Well, that guy runs. We're going to come over here. We're going to rev the version of this guy because we can. Great. Let's see. This guy is pre-release. Let's check here. I don't know what is in this guy, but we're going to just rev both of these packages to their latest pre-release. Because why not? If there are any bug fixes and whatnot, we probably want to pick them up. Okay, so now we got that. Okay, simple enough. Not you, you. Okay, so we got a project file. We set ourselves up. We did this. We updated the API to be latest and greatest. Great. Okay, so in here we do source buildy stuff. So what we need is sort of something that does a string buildery thing and then iterates over like syntax trees and whatnot. Which that's fine. I don't think we care. Yeah, I don't think we care. So in our case, what we want to do is what I really want to do is I've got, for example, this class here, right? Visual element mixins, where it's literally gone through all of the stuff on framework element and generated out these things. Then it's gone through the input, or I guess the UI element, and generated out these things, right? And I basically want to go through and say, hey, look for dependency properties on a given type, gen me up this thingy, right? It needs to live inside of something that looks like this, and it needs to gen me something that looks kind of like this, right? So my goal is to do that. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to just pick on something like border, because that's an easy one. So don't care. Okay, so let's rename this to something more like, okay, so that'll go there. Make those match for the moment, and then rename to property extension generator. Excellent. Right? Okay, so initialize, we don't need. Wait, what? I don't know what you're doing. Stop it. Go to block body, please. Use block body. I literally don't need you to do anything. So actually, I lied. Go back to extension method. So I guess that doesn't really buy me over anything over that. Okay, great. Execute. You need to use a block body because you're going to be a wee bit bigger. So var, how do we want to do this? What's the easiest way to get a types dependency properties? I could reflect on it. Types. Actually, what am I saying? I've got code inside of this project to literally look up an object's dependency property. Just use that. Let's see. Get property. This guy here. Right? So it comes down here. Dependency property helper. Try get dependency property. Find from name, blah, blah, blah. This guy here looks up and finds that. Now, this is doing a lot of stuff. Registered property lists. Oh, look at that. So this guy here is kind of helpful, but I kind of just want to say, give me all the properties, right? Rather than doing this. I'm trying to decide what's easier to do. Let's just do something simple. So type of, say, border, right? So we got it. We're gonna have to bring in system windows controls from presentation framework. Yeah, that's technically right, but how are you gonna reference presentation framework is my first question. That's really what I'm interested in, is can I go off and query this? Because I'm thinking if I'll just reflect over the properties. Yeah, cancel. I don't know how you think you're going to reference that, but I kind of want to just do this, right? So we do this, and we do this, and we do this, and I think, boom. Nope. Get this. That brings me in and gets me my framework. Let's go check our actions again. We failed. No, we didn't. We got to come back and look at the list of actions. This is the old one. This guy is still running and thinking about what he's done. Excellent. Okay. So come back here. Generate type of border. That's not quite what I want, because the other one that I need is use WPF. And I'm going to be curious if I can get away with still being net standard 2.0, or if I'm going to have to do something fancy. Something fancy. Again, cancel. Using system.windows.controls. All right, that's what I want. And I'm guessing we might have to go to netcore app 3.1. Can I get away with this? Ha ha ha. That gets me there. Okay. So get properties. Let's see. Where let's use a better letter. Where the property, fine. Include link, pretty please. So for example, if we look at border, right? On the border, we're basically after these thingies. So I guess we're not actually looking for properties. We're looking for fields of type dependency property. That won't confuse anybody. Get fields, where we'll name you F, because these things are going to be field info objects. Let's see, field type equals type of dependency property. Right? Sure, that thing. For each var field in big long thingy mabobber, find me the thing, right? So the key thing here is we want var string builder gets new string builder, because we want to build up something that looks kind of like this, right? So we know we're going to need pretty much that as my opener. So that'll get me part of the way there. Load in string builder. let's see, SB append line, and we will do literal string, paste in all the things. Boom, something like that gets me started. And then it's going to end with couple more curly braces on the end. So we will do the end of this guy. SB append line, literal thingy-mabobber, which is the technical term for it. It goes there. Okay. Let's just see. Let's just see if we can get that much to run, right? And I'm gonna name this partial class foo, right? So we can just confirm that it works. So we're just gonna. Does the code even compile? Wonderful. Okay, test failed. Let's go back and look and see if we got more information. Collecting dumps. Ah, look at this. Okay, so we've got a crash dump and a hang dump and a sequence file. That is wonderful. So 8 passed. Total of 8. Test run aborted because the test running. See, this is what we want right here, right? The test running when the crash occurred was blah. Here's the offender. Thank you. Thank you. That is exactly what I want, .NET team. This is wonderful. Thank you. This is exactly the output I need. So effectively, this guy was running. Something bad occurred in this test, and it brought down the entire test runner. Awesome. Okay, so let's go back and let's see, because I think we got artifacts. No artifacts were generated. Well, that sucketh, because we know, it's the test results is down a level. Because I was looking for inside of XAML test, looking for it there, but it's actually at the root of the unit test project. Okay. Because this guy here doesn't find anything, because yeah, you'll note he's looking for XAML test test results. And it's XAML test dot test results. If that's not confusing to anyone. Okay, so if we come back over here, this guy here, what we really want to do is we want to insert a backslash, poof, like that, and say, gimme. Great. Let's see. Adding collector for crash dumps. Boom. So we'll push that up. So while that's running, I kind of want to circle back real quick. Well, no, we're gonna wait. We're gonna just we'll let that run. No point in trying to debug the test until we actually know what the problem is. So we'll let that sit. Okay, so we've got what I think is a source generator that compiles. Now, the next question: how does one consume it? Let's see here. So add the source generator from a project as an analyzer and add preview to the lang version of the project like this. So if I want this to get picked up, I need to do something like this. So this is not a normal project reference. It needs output type and reference output assembly set on it. Okay, that seems reasonable, but I think we can do better if I just come over here and I do this. We can do dependencies, add project reference, right? And I go click, click, and then I come into here. I go and find the project reference it just added for me, right? And then I just slap on those extra 2 attributes. Boom, right? And then I need to change lang version here. We don't have lang version set yet. So we're going to try lang version, and I think we're just going to do 9.0. Right? I don't think I need preview anymore. Okay, and then we're just going to build it. And in an ideal world, and I'm going to just pop open dnspy, right? So decompiler weapon of choice. As soon as I figure out where it went. Whoop. Stop minimizing yourselves. Let's see, what was I decompiling before? Anything important? Nope. Okay, so we'll come over here and we will, let's see, open folder in File Explorer. Come back over here. So we're going to just go bin, debug, netcore app, right? And I want to look at the DLL, right? So the thingy that got generated from the compile doesn't include my new source generator class, right? Because in theory, if the source generator ran as part of this, right, we should see, actually, let's go back and look. I should see something in the namespace of XAML test called visual element mixins foo. So XAML test, visual element mixins, no visual element mixins foo. Well, doesn't that just bite? What? Did I miss a step? Did I miss a step? This is that. There's that. We could go back and do lang version preview. Yeah, so we could set that to preview. We did rev those packages, which make it slightly different. The other thing we can just check here is, hold on. Cannot be created. So here's an instance of analyzer, blah, cannot be created. The system cannot find system.runtime. Okay, we can fix this. So it tried to load the analyzer, failed to load the type, and went boom. So I believe we can work around this, because I believe what we can do is we can just hijack this guy. So I suspect the problem is because I'm pulling in WPF into a thingy that's not supposed to be WPF. I believe as long as I get the system runtime DLL included, and I don't know if I need it here or in the XAML test one. So we're just going to start adding it. Then we're going to rebuild here. Output. Can't tell. Clear all. Rebuild. Okay, so this. Oh, it does tell me the directory it's in. XAML test bin debug cannot load files system runtime 422 or one of its dependencies, blah, 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 blah. So this guy 422 something, something, something. Manage NuGet packages. I want to grab the closest thing to a 4.2 something or another that I can grab. 4.3. What the heck? So that's not going to be its jam. Who is trying to pull that in? So let's try this. So let's go. This is the wrong solution. So let's go back. Rather than fighting with this for the moment, let's just axe this guy here. Okay, so that guy goes away. Let's take Window Desktop back out. Let's go back down to Net Standard 2.0. Right? Turn off WPF and leave lang version set there. That means my generator's going to fail, but only for these particular types. But to test that this thing's working, we don't need those types in there. So let's try that. This will build, and actually we should probably just let's just go in here and let's just be a little destructive and yeah, wipe everything out. And then rebuild this guy. Okay, so he's now rebuilt and should be in a cleanish state. Great, that's wonderful. Let's rebuild this guy. Okay, so he claims to have rebuilt. We didn't get the same warning that we got before. It did seem to indicate something about the generator. Come over to here, we go File, reload all assemblies, we expand out XAML test, we expand this out, and we expect to see, we don't see an extra thingy here. Interesting. Let's do public class namespace XAML test foo, right? We're gonna go hog wild here. Rebuild. I guess we could try the Lang version rebuild. Oh, I wonder if it's because this guy's a WPF project. Dang it. Right after I just finished saying that this doesn't work for WPF. Though I'm surprised this isn't blowing up. A little bit surprised. It could be because I lack XAML files in this project. So the reason the WPF stuff has problems is because there's a 2-pass compile that WPF does. The first pass is to compile the XAML, and then there's the main app. The problem is the first pass doesn't forward the analyzer references through. And so if you have any code that relies on the code generated, I'm sorry, not the analyzer, the source generator. So if you have any code in your project that relies on that existing, it doesn't get copied in. And I'm also wondering if that could be the reason why I'm just not seeing it here, which is disappointing because it would be really cool to have that working. I could put it into a separate assembly and reference that, but oh, yuck. Okay, back to here and actions. Okay, so now I should theoretically have test results. That is what we want. Download, please. Let's see what we got. Let us see what we got. Hooey boy. 60 meg plus? Apparently you don't want to leave these dumps on. Oh. Apparently these dumps are bigger than my assemblies themselves. Okay. No idea what's in these things. Okay, so let's start with the sequence. Oh, dear heavens. Okay. Don't double click an XML file. It opens in, currently on mine, it opens with Internet Explorer. That is not the correct tool to view XML in. Okay. So we have this guy here. So this shows me the sequence of tests. And this shows me returns default serializers. Okay, so that's helpful. Though I think, so that's just the order of the tests that were executed beforehand. So if your tests happen to have dependencies, right, that you didn't intend for, that gets you all the way down. Let's see, hang dump or crash dump. I'm trying to decide which one. Test host process crashed. I think we start with the crash dump. So let's see what we got there. So if we go here. Crash dumps the top one. And patience for Visual Studio to launch. And oy vey. This is not the right tool to view this in. What is the so let's see. View crash dump. I don't know what is the right tool for this. Configure dump types. Blah blah blah. Tools to read this. Oh, I don't. Oh, this is gonna be WinDebug. Oh yuck. Oh yuck. Oh yuck. This is cool, but dear heavens, I don't want to get to this level of debugging. Okay. Okay, so let's start with what we do know. We do know that this guy here is the problem child. So let's jump back here. We are going to go and look at this guy. So this guy here doesn't do anything overly fancy compared to his friends, right? So more importantly, what we know is we know the following tests ran. So for example, register custom serializer worked, but get serializers failed. So let's see, register custom. Excuse me. Okay, so this guy here, the big difference is this guy calls initialize with defaults, which makes a request across and actually starts the app. This guy doesn't. But if I recall correctly, the reason this guy doesn't, let's see here, is get serializers literally just calls into the serializer constructor, right? So it's not, it's literally just acting on this guy and then acting on this list. I don't understand why this, I don't understand why this would cause a dump. So this does a start remote. Oh, I wonder if because the app isn't, if initialize is never called when it gets to the end. I wonder if that's the problem. Is because this guy is never actually, no, this actually starts and does a managed app. So this guy here creates this, does a managed app, and at the end of this guy is going to call dispose, which calls base dispose on the app, which sends a shutdown request. I'm wondering if the client shutdown, I'm wondering if the shutdown request from the client is what the problem is. Because if it kicks this off and runs this guy here might, like, it should be up and listening because let's just, so working theory, this is needed. And I'm trying to think of why that would be the case. So if we come over here and look at the service, and because all that's happening is this guy is kicking off a shutdown, and I think this could be the kicker, is this is occurring at the very end. So this guy runs app test, right? So this is async usings, right? So it's dispose async, but dispose async gets called here, the very end of the method. I have a theory initializing is going to fix this. So what is still left here? So sure, we can stage that. I don't want the generator stuff in here yet. I do want the test change. So we're going to stage that file. We'll leave the rest of these changes here. So attempting another run with Initializing the app, because that's the only difference between this and the other one, is that one initializes. And I think the only reason I didn't do it is because the rationale was this call doesn't go server side. But the rest of these things do appropriately initialize the app with defaults. And I'm wondering if that is important. Because what is it going to do? It's basically going to set up the app resource dictionary on the other side. All right, so on Visual Tree Service, initialize this guy here. It comes in, sets up the initialization for the app. Oh, it does do an assembly resolve. It does register up an assembly resolver. So if there was anything that needed to occur server side for assembly resolution, that would be a thing. I wonder, does I wonder if there's any issue with calling like application dispatcher before it actually gets going. So the application here comes in from Visual Tree Service. So this service gets set up as part of the protocol buffer when this thing initially starts. And this guy here, find all references, gets set up on, keep going up. So the custom WPF app that's starting up, that's actually hosting all of these controls, is this guy here. So on startup, he triggers a service.start. And then on exit, a service.dispose. Boy, I'm just trying to see what would... The only thing I can come up with is that there is an assembly that's attempting to be resolved. And so having the assembly resolver there fixes it. We'll see. That's the assumption. We don't know if it's actually fixed. Okay, so that guy there he can chug for a little bit and think about what he's done. Yuck. So we may not be able to get ahead of this source generator. We may not be able to do this simply because the type of our application, the target project that's referencing the source generator is a WPF app. So if we look at, say, GitHub WPF, there is an issue that's currently out there right now. If we look at issues, generators, right? This guy here. So for anybody who wants to go and follow it, there's the linked issue. That guy there is the that's the issue that's outstanding. Jared Parr down here, or Jared Parsons, he does comment that their intent is to fix this, not just document that it doesn't work. And ultimately, it looks like it's a matter of tracking down, because I was looking at this one earlier, and it looked like they had documented up that it just needed to pass the analyzer set through. Maybe I was looking at that from somewhere else. Analyzer. Yeah. So when this issue got brought over, because it appears it's not properly passing the $ analyzers to the compiler when building the intermediate temp project. So that is likely the source of the bug. That is probably it. And I think if I go back and look at my old stream, I did a bunch of hacktastic stuff to try and cheat it. And that was ultimately what it came down to. I would be interested to know, while we're waiting for this thing to build, I might just take a quick gander at the source. I wonder how hard this is to fix. Problem is I don't quite know where to look for it. Because, well, I guess presentation build tasks. Because this is the task in question that's getting invoked. The question is this the guy who's invoking him? I think it might be. I think, therefore I am. This guy might be the kicker. Enter me. Immediate output path, blah, blah, blah. Generate temporary target assembly. I think this is the guy. Because I'm fairly confident this would need to get passed, the analyzer set would need to get passed in. This guy here lives inside of this, right? So, and this guy, I believe, is just going to be the one that shells out to MS build. So on an execute, remove items, blah, 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 blah. Project docs, save. Yeah, I'm thinking this is what needs to change. Invoke MS build, grab global properties. This sets some of those up. Build project files. Yeah, so this builds up a hash table, intermediate output path, all of that jazz. So this temp project is really what's being built up. Let's see, XML project doc. What populates you? So you get instantiated. You load the current one. Remove items by name. Generated items. I'm a little surprised if this is based on the current project that it wouldn't do what I expect. Oh, we failed again. Let's come back here and see. On get resource throws exception when not found. Let's see. The process host exited unexpectedly. The fact that this is a different test name is a little disconcerting. It makes me wonder if there's a bug in the dispose somewhere. Oh, I really should clean up these warnings. Wow, 350 meg. Hoy vey, that is not a small number. Well, it is 11:15. I might circle back on this. I may take a stab at seeing what it's going to take to fix this. So it would be nice to get it fixed inside of WPF directly. Now bear in mind this would mean source generators only work in WPF running on .NET Core. Just to be clear, right? This is not backporting to support full framework and that kind of thing. Though I wonder if full framework has the same issue. I think it does. I think I'm trying to remember the compile process, and it's unfortunately late, and my Mountain Dew is empty, so I'm not recalling it. But I am wondering. Yeah, I am surprised that this. Okay, I just want to look. Oh, also, GitHub added go to definition. Wonderful, wonderful feature. Absolutely wonderful feature. So if project definition is null, not possible, or string is null or empty, also not possible, return. The project file is always like below. This is wrong. XMLNS does not exist, as is clearly apparent from the fact that if we look at my ACS proj, I don't see an XMLNS. So that comment is off completely. But for the rest of it, yeah, it's pretty similar to this. Yeah, order of children nodes is random because by definition it shouldn't need to be in any particular order. So iterates over compare looking for item groups. So let's see, if node group is not null and the name is item group, jump inside, iterate over its children, looking for things that match the name. If it finds a node that matches, it adds it to a collection, which lives where? Okay, so it's an array list there. After iterating through all the children, if we have anything to remove, we iterate over each item in there, cast it to an XML element, check for null. Slightly wasteful. We kind of know that everything we put in there was already an XML element. This should have probably been a typed collection. I'm guessing this is older C# for backwards compatibility, perhaps. Because when you're running inside of MS Build, you can't use the latest stuff, because that would then only work on the latest version of the compiler. Because when you're running as an MS Build task, you kind of want to use the lowest possible things so that the most possible versions of Visual Studio can use you. But regardless, it just calls node group remove child. So it's literally just removing things based on type. The types removed are app definition, page name, markup source, resource name, and reference type. So if we look at mine, let's see, item group. It's going to have a bunch of package reference and a protocol buff. I don't know if that. Kind of interested to see those constants. Don't know where those are defined. There they are. Let's see. Yeah, I got none of those. All right, so none of those would get removed. Add new items. Reference path types. Add generated. I wonder, can I see, where did this thing get generated at? When it ran, did that just go into here? Kind of doubt it. But type. I don't see a CS proj getting generated. Probably have to turn on MS Build logging to track down where this is and where it's going. I'd love to see exactly what's in here because it doesn't look like they're removing it, which would imply that it works. Huh. That is interesting. I will have to track this down. Okay, I said I was signing off a while ago, and then I went another 10 minutes. So with that, I'm going to say goodnight. Thank you for joining us, everybody. Happy coding. See everyone next time.